Hey folks, welcome back to the farm here on a glorious Nebraska morning. It's not as warm as we'd like it to be and sunshiny for what we need for our tomatoes, but we'll take it. We just got back from coffee. I went to see Mom for a little bit. We've got some stuff to do here on the homestead, and we're going to make Mom some refrigerator pickles for our next visit. So stick around, we'll get some of this stuff done. So their little garden that we planted up there at the nursing home is doing really well. They're getting lots of cucumbers. They're probably overloaded with them because they've got 2 plants there. So rather than just having them keep eating just regular raw cucumbers and stuff in their salad, I told Mom I'd bring some home and make her some refrigerator pickles. So we got this little batch of nice sized cucumbers. We'll make up a couple jars. We'll probably do 2 different recipes for them so they can try a little bit of both. Now the humidity is going up pretty quickly today, so I want to get out in the garden. I got a few things to pick. Got to go on a little bit of weed patrols because it's been about a week since I've done that. So we're going to get out there and do that real quick, and then we'll come back in the house. If you were with us here, I believe on the last video, it may be, our cousin's daughter Lily came out and helped us clean up all of the spent plants that were out here. So garden's nice and clean. We'll finish up the weeding out here. We'll head in. Okay, we're done in the garden. We harvested a couple cantaloupe and 3 honeydew, some dill for our pickles we're going to do for Mom, and also some grape leaves for that. If you didn't know, grape leaves have natural compounds in them that help keep your cucumbers, your pickles, crisp. Alright, we got back inside. The heat's getting pretty oppressive out there today because of the humidity. We've got a lot of warm, moist air coming up from down south and no breeze to tame it down. So we don't get those days very often here in Nebraska, but when there's no breeze and the winds coming from the south or the storms are coming from the south, it gets pretty gnarly. That's why I can never live in the south. So back to the cucumbers, we went ahead and cut the blossom ends, and both ends actually, off of all these cucumbers, because the blossom end of the cucumber has enzymes in it that start the cucumber to degrade right away once you pick them. So we want to definitely get those off. So we're going to slice the rest of these up, and then we'll get the pickle process started. We started slicing our pickles. We got our mandolin, we flipped the blade around, put our little fancy edge on it here. Gives us a cooler looking pickle. So we'll continue to slice our cucumbers till we got them all done. Alright, we got all of our cucumbers sliced, and we sprinkled the whole bowl with salt and turned them a little bit and sprinkle them with a little more salt. We want some of the moisture to start drawing out of some of those cucumbers, and then we're going to make some lunch real quick because I'm getting hungry, and then we'll start on the brine and all that. You can see our salted cucumbers have been giving up their moisture a little bit, so we're going to rinse these off now. We'll throw them in the colander, give them a good rinse. You might say, well, why are you putting more liquid back on them if you're drawing the liquid out? Well, the liquid that's drawn out was from the inside. We're going to rinse off the outside, get the salt off. Okay, we got our pickles dripping out there. We've chopped up some of our smaller onions from the garden that we had in our pantry here. And then we're going to start layering cucumbers and onions in these jars. I think I'm going to go get 1 more pint jar. Now we're going to do a couple different recipes, so before we get too carried away with these types of pickles, I want to make sure we do 1 jar of dill pickles for Mom. So in the bottom of one of these jars, we're going to put a grape leaf and then a whole dill flower here that we just picked out of the garden this morning. And then we'll do just cucumbers in this jar here. So we're going to start putting our brine together for our sweeter pickles here. So we're starting out with 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. And then we're going to also add to that 2 cups of just regular granulated sugar. So we got our sugar in there. And this should be enough brine for our 4 jars. So the spices we're going to measure individually into the jars because it's hard to distribute them when you're dealing with so much brine like this. So if it's not enough for our 4 jars, it's basically 50-50 sugar and cider vinegar, so it's easy to top everything up. We're going to throw this in the microwave a minute at a time until that liquid turns clear, which means the sugar has dissolved. So that only took 1 minute. I can already feel there's no more granules in the bottom of that. It's not going to be perfectly clear, but that's good. So now we're going to start adding our dry spices into the jars. We're going to start with a ½ teaspoon of salt in each jar. We're using our good Redmond's kosher salt, so the granules are a lot larger, so we're going to just round our spoon like we normally do. This is a ½ teaspoon measure. So just kind of round it up and it'll make the difference between the larger crystals. Now next thing is 1/8 teaspoon of celery seed in each jar. It's going to take 2 hands because that jar is almost empty. Next thing is 1/8 teaspoon of mustard seed. That we can do with 1 hand because we've got plenty in there. Now if you're doing quart jars, you just double this recipe is all you got to do. Next thing was 1/8 teaspoon of ground turmeric. Had to do that 2-handed as well. The very last item is ½ teaspoon of our granulated garlic here. Well, minced garlic, I should say. It's our good Christopher Ranch garlic that we get out in California. It's got a fantastic flavor right out of the jar. It's really sweet. Really good garlic. Alright, so always put your spices in before your brine because otherwise it's just all going to float on top. Pouring our brine in now, it's going to push all those spices down in the jar. Our brine is actually cleared up just sitting here. So hopefully we can do this without spilling. These glass jars are notorious for leaking down the side of the measuring cups, these glass measuring cups. And then we're not canning these pickles, so we really don't have to worry about headspace. So we can come right up to the top. We can even throw in some more cucumbers over here if need be. But we're going to bump these jars around a little bit when we're done, make sure the air bubbles are up out of them. So our brine stays clear to the top. We're going to be pretty close. Wow, we're spot on. Look at that. So we'll just go through and top the rest of these up. And we'll call that good. Now this is a fantastic recipe, folks. I got this from my friend Kathy, or our friend Kathy, out in California. Matt's wife, actually. If you remember, Matt and Kathy were just here a little bit ago. So we'll put lids on these babies and they just go in the fridge. That's all you got to do. Let's get our lids on our jars. Now, if you were wanting to can these things, if they needed to last for a while, you would just water bath can these. What I would do is put the onions and the cucumbers in their cold pack, and then bring your brine to boiling. Put your dry spices in there just as we did, and then pour your hot brine, boiling brine into warm jars so you don't have to worry about cracking, or use our technique where you pour a little bit at a time and then it warms the jar up slowly. And then you would put these in a water bath canner for whatever pickles go for. I don't know right offhand. I'll look it up when I'm off camera and I'll tell you. But these are ready to go. These are all going to be giveaways. We're going to take a couple to Mom and a couple to some other people. And I usually let these things sit about a week because we cut our cucumbers fairly thick. So about a week in the fridge, these will be ready to go. And they're going to love them. So our dill pickle jar with our grape leaf and our dill flour in there, this recipe is even easier. We're going to start with 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Next thing is 3/4 of a teaspoon of sugar. I just used my 1 teaspoon and guess at that. Pretty simple. Next is 1/2 teaspoon of pickling spice. Make sure you mix it up really good because you're using a small amount. Then this recipe has a full teaspoon of mustard seed. Oop, couple got away. And then again about 1 clove worth of our good minced garlic. There's the brand on that right there. If you can find that garlic, it's amazing. So everything else in there that makes this dill pickles is already in that jar. So let's do the brine. It couldn't be any easier. So the brine, we don't have to mix anything up. We just pour our jar half full of vinegar, half the rest of the way full of water. That's it, 50-50. If you want to measure it, that's fine. Do like 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of vinegar, see where that goes, and then just keep topping it up. So if your OCD was killing you on that, don't fret, we measured it. So now, because we don't need, again, we don't need any head space, we'll pack a few more cucumbers now in there that we've got our dry mix in. We made sure we had plenty of room for that stuff. And then one more. All we got left over here is the oddball sizes. So we'll throw those in the chicken bin. We'll put a lid on this, and those dill pickles are done too. Also, refrigerator pickles. Okay, there's our pickle. Got them all labeled. Oh, we didn't put what kind of pickles they were, but they won't last long enough to worry about that. We got 4 of our regular kind of sweet, halfway between sweet and bread and butter pickles. Fantastic recipe. Highly recommend you try that. And then 1 jar of dill pickles. We're going to take Mom those, and then other people are going to get these here. That's going to be a nice change for Mom and her friends down there because they've just been eating crazy amounts of cucumbers. I'll show you a picture of the garden that we planted down there. It's doing really good. So I'm going to Lily's first volleyball game they have this year. Kelly's going to meet us down there. My cousin's going to pick me up. So we're real excited. First volleyball game of the year now that everybody's back to school. So hope you enjoyed hanging out with us. We certainly enjoyed having you here. We hope you try these quick little refrigerator pickle recipes. Could not get any easier if you've got a handful of cucumbers coming out of the garden. There's really no need to get all the canning stuff out if you're going to eat them. The vinegar in this stuff will last a long time in the fridge. Literally probably a year. Crazy. But again, you do the smart thing. If it smells good, it probably is good. If it smells weird, it probably is weird. Don't eat it. So, till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at the farm. Number 3,